Morning, everybody. Thanks to Dr. Murthy for extending me this kind invitation. Retinal detachment with PVR. This is a typical picture of anteroposterior PVRs that we see in our daily practice. Now, ocular, this has been related to a type of ocular wound healing which occurs in 3 stages: inflammatory, proliferative and modulatory stage. PVR can be viewed in a similar fashion, with the wound being the retinal detachment. Now, the membranes may be glial. The pathogenesis being, following detachment, there is release of RPE cells, there is breakdown of the blood retinal barrier, sometimes accentuated by surgical intervention and cryo, and there is formation of the complex periretinal and vitreous membranes containing the mixed cell types and extracellular matrix. Now, it is the subsequent contraction of these membranes, myofibroblasts being mainly responsible, that is responsible for the clinical picture seen in PVR and for the potential failure of retinal reattachment surgery. These are the various risk factors, all well known. I would like to go into the details. And in short, all these events are responsible and they lead to a breakdown of the blood ocular barrier, in turn leading to PVR. General incidence 5.1 to 11.7%, with giant retinal tears, about which Manish spoke so eloquently and excellent videos that he showed, 16 to 41%. In penetrating the ocular trauma, 10 and 45%. And if there is an accompanying vitreous hemorrhage or a trauma, the incidence increases also. We are all aware of the classification: grade A, grade B, grade C. I won't go to the details. And C is further divided, being anterior to the equator and posterior to the equator, and by the number of clock hours. Now we come straight away to the surgical management of PVR. The basic principles of the surgical management complicated by PVR are those of detachment surgery in general, that is closure and sealing of retinal breaks and complete release of periretinal traction. To this can be added the prevention of recurrence of the proliferative process and its ensuing traction forces. I will deal with that in a very short way. Now, role of scleral buckling. With milder degrees of grade C PVR or PVR that are limited to one quadrant, buckling alone may be a viable option. It was shown by Yao's series, who achieved high rates. And the main role of the scleral buckle is to relieve the residual tractional forces along the vitreous base and to reduce any circumferential traction caused by the PVR process. Now, pars plana vitrectomy, which is the mainstay of surgery, with or without scleral buckling, remains the mainstay of surgical repair when PVR is present. It allows for removal of the inciting proliferative nidus, allows direct access to the membranes, which can be peeled during surgery, and disadvantage being that it does also paradoxically increase the permeability of the blood retinal barrier more than the other techniques. So we won't go into the details, sir. I will show in the video when we come to it. Now, when the membrane, we can use certain agents like triamcinolone suspension when the membranes are immature, and we can use along with the diamond dusted scraper, as will be shown in the video, which facilitates identification and removal of the membranes. More mature membrane, fixed folds are present, and we go to the base of these fixed folds, either using the pinch peel technique by a forceps or a pick forceps combination technique. We perform the membrane stripping. We can use PFCL, as will be shown, as a third hand to flatten the retina and to help identify areas of residual traction. But it is very important to know the fact that incomplete removal of ERMs during the first surgery may be a major cause of recurrent PVR with redetachment. Better visibility and delineation of the ERMs during PVR surgery may result in a more complete ERM removal and a higher rate of long-term retinal detachment. This is critical. As you can see on your left, the slide shows that the recurrent PVRs, the reproliferations being more readily identified by staining agents. These are the pinch peel. We'll just go to the video. Now, while removing anterior PVR, iatrogenic breaks near the base are very common. We must remember that retinotomy or retinectomy should be the last resort, when PVR is very difficult to remove with peeling alone. And we have to take one careful thought in mind while peeling the membranes, that we must keep the retina inserted at the ora as long as possible till the end, because that's The retinotomy or retinectomy may also be of value when subretinal membranes are present because they enable direct access to this membrane which can be removed with forceps. Of course, oil has to be used along with these procedures. We'll come to that later. So in short, we are performing a debulking of PVR tissue which potentially breaks the ongoing cycle of further membrane production and contraction. Now, subretinal proliferation, 2 words before I go into the video. Maybe placoid, dendritic or annular, napkin ring like. Long dendrites can be removed by sequential regrasping technique. At times, if dendrites are adherent, segmentation may be more appropriate. This is a cartoon showing how to grasp the subretinal dendrites through forceps and remove subretinal dendrites with sequential regrasping. Now, choice of tamponade, as has been clearly borne out by the silicon study, that silicon oil was more effective was more effective than SF6 but equivalent to C3 effect in case of severe PVR. But most of us, we tend to use silicon oil, light or heavy according to the case. Now, because gravity causes most of the proliferative mediators to settle in the inferior retina, PVR is most common inferiorly in the meniscus between the silicon oil and the retina. The ability to move more effectively tamponade the inferior retina may prevent these recurrences by using heavier oils. Studies on the use of silicon oil after vitrectomy in eyes with PVR have reported a high rate of retrooil epiretinal membrane reproliferation, particularly in association with large retinectomies. We'll skip these studies. Now, how to prevent the occurrence of this PVR? By using adjunctive agent. These agents may specifically or non-specifically target the proliferating cell types to be known to be involved in PVR, the production and subsequent contraction of the extracellular matrix, or the deposition of fibrin, or the various growth factors. These are the various agents which have been carried out through time, but nothing has been proved to be of immense benefit. Sustained drug delivery systems are in the pipeline. Now, after a thorough vitrectomy, it is of utmost importance that we completely peel the vitreous off the retina in order to get down to those star folds. The light pipe sometimes acts as a bimanual hand so as to stabilize the retina so that we can pull with the forceps with the other hand. And as Manish was showing, it is critical to excise the vitreous base thoroughly, 360 degree. This is a case of an immature membrane under PFCL. We are trying to use the diamond dusted membrane scraper to peel the membrane. A case of giant retinal tear, as Manish showed in his videos. We completely remove the vitreous, and with these modern day cutters with the port closer to the tip with high rates, there is hardly any movement of the retina. Critical also is to excise the edges, anterior edges of the flap to prevent reproliferation and to prevent rebleeds. And with wide angle system, very easy to depress with one hand and to excise the flap with the other hand, with the cutter. But right up to the oral margin, it has to be excised. That is critical. Extensive PVR as is seen here, we can use our age-old method of using a pick to lift the membranes. You pick again to remove the lift of the membrane so that a clear edge is found which is picked up with the forceps. You have to be very, very gentle while performing these maneuvers near the fovea. Again, pinch peel technique with the forceps. Very gently perform, while you can use always a drop of PFCL bubble for contraction. And the good old DSP ILM forceps for all these maneuvers is very helpful. Now here, as a last resort, we are performing a huge, almost a 360 degree retinotomy. Sometimes blood goes underneath the edges of the retinotomy. You have to lift it up bimanually. We cannot afford to leave anything beneath the retina, whether it's PFCL, blood, All these are nidus for reproliferation or cause of reattachment of the retina or redetachment of the retina. There's the clot removed from underneath the retina. Again, staph fold being released very near the fovea. The anterior edge of the flap being excised in a large tear. Always it helps to use staining agents, although not routinely, but in quite a lot of my cases I am now starting to use here a subretinal band being removed in a case of foreign body with detachment, and with a wide angle illumination system with good, we can perform a good endolaser and end the case. Thank you so much for your kind attention.